Well, my goal this week is to get this rear seat frame assembled, and there's some arms that have kind of a twist to it. I'd like to get those figured out as well. This is what is left of the rear seat frame. They are a little bit different than the seats up front. You can see they have kind of a flare to the side. That's why this frame is extra wide. But before I do that, I have this one right side lateral framework on what I call the rib cage. Have it assembled from last time. I'd like to get the other three assembled as well, so I have everything kind of caught up in the same place, so I can do both rear seats at the same time. Well, in tackling this rear seat frame, it has to be similar to the seats in front, only different. It has to set square to do all our joint work, but it also has to set on this curved framework here as well. Now I need some rabbet joints cut in here because it has to have some inset seat boards, so it needs this style of configuration where these seat boards can sit in. So these joints will look similar, except we're much wider on these outside frameworks. So the question is, just where does this joint work have to sit? This is the right side old original frame, and it's pretty rotted out, but it can kind of give us an idea of the distance we need here, maybe to this framework. This is the left side, and it is a little more intact. You can see the joint a little more clearly through here, where the top part of this joint is missing. So if I measured from this inside frame here to the outside of this framework, which will be equivalent to this framework here, if I can do this where you can see it, but we are about 3 inches from the edge of this frame to the outside edge of this curved framework. So this joint here needs to set 3 inches inside this edge here. So if I measure the overall width of this old one here, where it's strong 5, and I guessed 5 1/4 when I made these. I actually did cut these at 5 1/4. So if I'm going to come in 3 inches, then I have 2 1/4 of an inch that's going to overhang on this framework here. So that's going to set about right there, kind of like so. So I centered up this center seat on this 8 passengers, and when I check that overhang, I am at 2 1/2. So if I were to pull this to that 2 1/2 mark, right there, and check the other side, I'm also right there at 2 1/2 if I don't trim it and just leave it at the width that I have. Then it would match the overhang of the second middle seat. So I'm just going to kind of mock this up to see if I can make that adjustment. I'm here at 2 1/2. So my top frame on the outside is 5 1/4. It would leave me 2 3/4 of an inch instead of 3 if I were to put this framework right here. So I have this rear frame here centered up on my rear framework, and I have 3 3/8 sticking out from the framework on both sides. So this actually has to get notched out to go around this framework here. So this is going to shift back another 2 1/4 inches or so. Plus there's a 3/8 back panel that comes in here and it has to come back that distance as well. So it could come back anywhere from 2 5/8 to 2 3/4 shifting back. So if this slides back 2 3/4 of an inch, this point here will actually be back here. And if I measure from the framework out, I'm at 3 inches, so I have plenty enough room here to be able to saw this into the contour and retain my 2.5 inch overhang. And when I come up and look at the driver's seat, they always overhang more than the passenger seats do. See, we're at 3 inches there, but that is normal. So knowing that these old patterns came off of this 11 passenger and not this 8, I did decide to check it against here and see how those measurements came up. So I centered this board on my frame, and with that centered up, when I measure that overhang, I'm just right there at 2 1/4, which is what this one here shows us as well. So this old pattern off of the 11 is actually going to be just right for here. It's going to give me a 2 1/4 inch overhang, and when I come up to the seat in front of it and measure that overhang, I'm right there at 2 1/4 as well. So the rear seat matches the seats up in front on this 11 passenger, so it makes sense that I should do the same on the 8. And I have noticed in the past that there are variations in the widths of these seats as far as overhang on the frame. Now the framework on this 8 passenger is 1 inch narrower, but if the seats are the same width, it allows the same comfort for the passengers. And when I measure the width of this seat on the 8 passenger between the seat arms, I'm at 49.5, and this first seat on the 11 passenger, I'm also at 49.5. So the seats remain the same for the passengers. So I'm going to do my joint work for this at 2.5, and if it doesn't work out, I can always come back and just bring it in 1/4 inch on each side and make it work. But I think symmetry from the rear seat to this second seat makes sense to me. So my inside shoulder width is 40.5. My rear seat frame is 48. So I'm going to come back 7.5 inches. So I split that. This shoulder is going to be in at 3 3/4. And that'll match those shoulders, even though the ends are going to be staggered. So this is my front frame, this is the sides. Clamp this into place and try to figure the position of where my rear cross frame goes. And these overhang the front by about 1/4 inch. So the wood panel is going to be 3/8 of an inch thick. So we're going to come about to here. But this cross frame doesn't want to come past this point here. And that cross frame is 4.5 inches. So that joint is going to need to be right there. Well, this is the foundation for the rear seat. A little more complicated than the other seats, isn't it? Has to fit into the rear framework and tapered out. These side arms are actually steam bents where they stand vertical in the back and then they twist and lay out. I've done a video on that in the past and I will probably review that. But this is a good start on that rear seat. Appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.